Hey y'all, welcome back for day 11. Today I am going to be finishing the water lines and basically waterproofing the shower, and I also started painting in this episode. So there's a pretty good transformation coming at the end. All right, so picking up where I left off yesterday, I'm pretty much just making a water line for the shower head, and this is going to connect directly to that diverter right there that I've already hooked up the water lines to. Nothing fancy here. I just have some, this is 1/2 inch PEX. And then I'm just putting some fittings on it. I kind of test fit how long I needed it and then stuck it in to make sure it fit. And then after that, I can go ahead and clamp it in. So, I mean, same process as I did all of the other water lines. Nothing really crazy here. All right, so now that I've created that water line, I want to make it stable. And so I just got, this is just a plumbing like hanging bracket that I cut and molded into the shape of this PEX. And I'm just fastening that to the wall. That way it won't kind of move back and forth inside the wall. And then I actually got, I had another PEX bracket. I think it was for 3/4 inch that I stuck where the shower head comes out, because I didn't want that to be able to move either, and I couldn't really find a special bracket for it. I'm sure they make one, but also it's not technically supposed to be used in this fashion, even though this is how I'm using it. So I just kind of made my own bracket, and if I would have thought about it beforehand, I would have put the bracket in, but I didn't think about it, so that's why you saw me tapping my hammer right there. And then I'm just adding a couple extra supports right here. That way it won't kind of back out in the wall. It is screwed in from the ceiling, the left side of that wall and the floor, but I just wanted to give it a little bit extra stability, and then I kind of toe-nailed it in from the inside. All right, now before I seal this wall up, I want to make sure that these fittings don't leak, because I know I'm not going to be able to get to it once I actually put the wall in. So this is me just capping off these water lines. This is just a 1/2 inch cap that I'm putting in over all of these water lines. You can buy these anywhere, Home Depot. It's a good idea to just cap them off anyway. I am actually going to pressure test them. This is the one for the sink right here, and lucky me, I had just enough to fit all of the water lines, which is great. So when I pressure test it, I basically screw in this special fitting. It screws into the regular water hose, but then it has an attachment at the end that's molded for my compressor. And after I tested it, there was no leaks. I'm going to go ahead and release the pressure relief valve just so the hot water tank isn't holding that pressure in there. And then I can move on to putting everything back together. All right, so let's talk about the drains here for a second. So this one I actually ordered on Amazon. I'll stick it on my storefront if anybody ever needs a new drain for it. They're all pretty much the same. So this is me adding some plumber's putty to it, and then I put it in and then screw the washer on the back part of it. Now there is a little trick to this, because what you don't want is to be spinning your drain while you have the plumber's putty on it, because it kind of defeats the purpose of the plumber's putty. So I put a pair of pliers in there to hold the inside of the drain while I get my channel locks and tighten it from the other side. That way I'm tightening the nut, but I'm not actually spinning it. So you'll end up with something like this. You kind of want to see your plumber's putty spread out in the drain, and that's how you know that you've got a good seal right there. All right, so I need some type of backing for that new wall that I made in the bathroom. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut out a piece of 1/8 inch paneling. And this is going to be the backer that will just cover up all of the wood pieces. Technically, I probably don't need it, but it makes me feel better having it. It's going to make it a little more rigid once I end up putting the waterproofing on and then putting the actual tiles on. And you see I put a 2x4 on top of it. That's because my work area isn't very big right here outside, and it's kind of flimsy, so it just makes it a little sturdier if you clamp on a 2x4. So y'all have seen me cut out this panels a million times. I literally always do the same thing. Just measure and use my saw guide and cut it out. And now I'm going to measure the holes where I need to cut out for the faucet and for the diverter to come out. So this is going to be the shower head up at the top right there, and then the bigger hole in the middle is going to be for the shower diverter. So definitely a good idea to cut those out beforehand. And then like any paneling that I put on, this is just construction adhesive, nothing crazy to it. I put it on all of these studs. And then I'll end up putting the panel on top of that. So funny story, actually, while you watch me do this, when I finished this camper and went to hook it up to water, one of these fittings actually leaked in the back here and I had to take the side piece off that I made. So if you're going to do this, make sure you hook it up to water and not just pressure test it like I did, because I have pressure tested it many campers so many times and I've never had it leak until this camper. So now you know I'm just going to be hooking it up to water after I pressure test it. So we're just going to add a little additional to that. Anyway, so this panel fit perfectly, which is great. And I'm just stapling it in here. I think these are just, I don't know, 1.25" crown staples, nothing crazy. And then I can go ahead and put this drain in and make sure that the drain lines up. And I'm going to go ahead and screw this drain in. And it actually fit perfectly. Yay! I love it when things come together like they're supposed to, like you plan it ahead and it just comes together. And it's just such a good day when that happens, because sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. And I just love it when it does. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and screw this into the walls and the new framing that I made, that little extra wall right there. So as long as you use like some sort of flathead screw and not like a screw that's going to stick out, it's probably fine to use whichever screw you want. Just make sure it's got a flathead on it. The reason for that is you don't want any extra, I guess, height added out, because when I'm going to go to put these shower tiles on, it's going to kind of curve out at the bottom or like angle out at the bottom anyway. So you want to minimize that as much as possible. Okay, time for waterproofing now. So this is just a sheet of plastic that I bought at Home Depot. I think it's like a 1/16 of an inch. It may not even be that. It's super flimsy. But this is 100% waterproof, and I always like to waterproof the shower before I put the waterproof tiles in, even though the tiles say they're waterproof. If you've learned anything about watching my videos, it's that you like to have one line of defense for water, but then you want to have an additional line of defense for water. So if I'm going to spend an extra, I think these are like $30 a sheet. If I'm going to spend an extra $60 to make sure the shower doesn't leak, 100% going to do it. Now this is just construction adhesive right here. If I would have done it again, I probably would have smoothed this out a little bit, because when it dried, you can kind of see where it was. So if you're going to do it, smooth it out with just like a little trowel or something like that. And then this big piece, I'm going to put the back wall on first, and I kind of tacked it down with staples. It's okay to do that on the edges, because I'm going to put silicone on it anyway, but then I got just a little scraper and kind of smoothed out all of the air bubbles that might be in there, and that did help smooth out some of the construction adhesive. But I mean, it's perfectly fine the way it was. I don't know. I'm just weird. Okay, so I would have smoothed it out again. All right, so now time for the other walls. This wall that I'm cutting out is the one where the shower diverter and the faucet is, or the shower head. So this one's actually pretty skinny. You can see how skinny it is right there. And I just basically measured it and used my straight edge to draw a line with a marker and cut it out with scissors. You don't need anything special to cut this stuff out. It's super flimsy. And then I did, because it is plastic, it just was a little bit easier to use the hole saw instead of trying to like cut it out with scissors or whatever. And then I took the sticker off because I'm weird. Now also keep in mind, there is two different sides to this panel. One side is meant for adhesive and the other side is not. So the side that is meant for adhesive is the one that I put against the wall, even though technically I'm going to have adhesive on both of the sides, and you can put adhesive on both of the sides. If you actually look at them, one is smoother than the other. So the side that was I can't remember if it was the smooth side or not. But anyway, it'll tell you on the panel which side is meant for the wall and which side is not meant for the wall. So again, just smoothing all of this stuff out, and I kind of stapled it along the edges just to give it a little extra something something. And then this piece was actually part of the other small piece that I cut, which is why I only needed 2 pieces, which is great that I didn't have to buy 3 full pieces. So again, just cutting it with some scissors, and then I will go put some more construction adhesive on this other side of the wall and do the same thing that I did for the other one. Now you'll notice I didn't mark out where this line was, so my construction adhesive kind of like goes over the side. But it doesn't really matter because I ended up bringing out the tiles a little more anyway on that side of the wall, just because I had the tiles and it just looked prettier when I brought it kind of further out from the wall. All right, so now I'm at a point where I am getting stressed with this camper because there's so much tools and dust in it, and I need to clean it up. So before I can do anything else, I need to vacuum and clean because I am prepping for paint. Obviously, you don't want messy and dusty and all that stuff when you're painting. Okay, so let's talk about paint. I know this is a great debate. Some people like Sherwin-Williams. I don't know why I couldn't say that. Some people like Behr. Some people like, there's a million kinds. I have always used Behr paint. I love it. I think that's partially because of the accessibility for me and the price, and I don't want to have to go into a Sherwin-Williams store just to buy paint. And so this is Behr Ultra right here that I've used, and typically I use Behr Marquee, and I think I'll use it next time just because the Behr Marquee is, it says it's 1 coat, but it's really like 1 and a skim coat. This one I did have to do a full 2 coats, which is not a big deal, but I think the main downfall for me with this one was the cleanup. It doesn't come up as easily if you accidentally like spill it on your floor or something like that, or you get it on a trim piece. Normally you'd be able to kind of clean it up with like soap and water, but this one, for whatever reason, even though it was like the 1 step down from the Behr Marquee, I don't think it cleaned up as well. I think the coverage was fine. But I still think I've always stuck with Behr Marquee, but I just figured I would try it this time for the Behr Ultra, and I just think I'm going to go back to the Marquee. For the extra like $10 a gallon, I think it's probably worth it. Even though Behr Marquee is kind of expensive, I think it's like 55 or 65 a gallon, and you ended up needing a couple gallons. Anyway, still worth it for me. So, basically I'm just going to paint everything inside of cabinets. I do paint the insides of cabinets. It bothers me when it's not all the same color. I think the only thing that doesn't bother me is like drawers for some reason, but cabinets do bother me. So I always paint the inside of cabinets. Underneath, get everything. Now, for cabinet faces like this, I typically use a little small foam roller, and you'll see that in a second. And I do that because it doesn't put quite as much paint on it, and there's the foam roller, and it leaves it a little bit smoother. And so that's just why I prefer to use the foam roller for any type of cabinets, and it's a small space. You don't really need that really big foam roller anyway. And in case you're curious, the color that I use for this is Cameo White. I always use the same color for whites in all of my campers. It's not too bright, but it's not too dull, and I just really like it, so that's what I've always used. And then for this brick, I do need to go back and kind of hand paint in between the little crevices, because I mean, the roller doesn't do a very good job of getting in between where the brick part is, and so I just kind of like it to look a little more flush. We are also not going to go into the great debate about why don't you use your sprayer? You have such a nice sprayer. Why don't you use it? Because I don't like to use a sprayer in confined spaces. Okay. I don't like to do it. And then I have to tape everything up, and then it always makes a mess, and it's just bleh. So that's how I feel. I would rather just hand paint it all. All right, so for this part, I am most excited about it. This is also one of my favorite colors from Behr, and it's called Cracked Pepper. And I do get these in satin. And I don't know, I really like the clash or the I don't know, it just stands out. It just makes it look so good. I really like black shiplap. I always have, and I don't know why. But it just kind of makes it stand out a little bit more because this was a lot of white right here. And the client that I'm making this for, she really, really, really loves white and bright and all that. But at the same time, I know she wouldn't want it to clash. And so we're just going to add a little something, something of contrast in here. I'm going to go ahead and paint the entertainment center this black color too. And then the cabinets in the bathroom will also get painted that black color. I don't think I recorded that part because it's like really tight in that bathroom and you would have just been looking at my butt the whole time, and nobody wants to see that. So anyway, you can just tell that the cabinets over there are black, and you'll get to see it later. And these little boxes right here are also going to get painted that cracked pepper color. And I don't know, this whole area actually ends up being like a big smorgasbord of like black, which I really like because everything else is so like white and bright. And it actually turned out really good. And so, yep, I just used my little foam roller here. That way I can control it. I'm obviously not worried about getting paint on the other side, so don't pay attention to that. Okay, now this was actually really frustrating because I have never seen this on a camper before. So the manufacturer, or I guess somebody else could have done it, put silicone on all of the corners. Okay, so I could understand putting like regular caulk or something, but no, they put silicone there after it had already been painted and everything. So obviously you cannot paint over most silicones unless it's a paintable silicone. And so when I painted over it, obviously the paint won't stick to it. And so I had to go and scrape it off of all of like the corners or the ceilings of the wall, and then like the sides where the cabinets meet, and like the inside of the cabinets too. It was super irritating and time consuming and frustrating. But I just couldn't stand there and look at it not being the same color as everything else. So once I scraped it off, I went over it with some, this is just Alex, just caulk, paintable caulk. And the way I do it is I apply the caulk and then I use my finger to kind of like run it in the seams, and then I have a bucket with some water there and a rag and just kind of scrape it off. The rag is not my favorite thing to use for this. There's actually a sponge that's kind of like wavy that I got from Home Depot one time for free, and like a bucket that they were giving away, and I wish I would have grabbed 12 of them because they work great. But anyway, I will see y'all for day 12. Y'all have a fantastic night.